Hi, my name's Robin. I'm part of the regional development team in Extinction Rebellion, and we have a short video today on what local groups are, what affinity groups are, and how do they organise together. So, local groups are looking to build the Extinction Rebellion community in their area, and they do so effectively by organising into separate working groups that can semi-autonomously focus on these different areas. So, for example, we have the media and messaging team, which will look at focusing on press releases for upcoming actions and also building some stories around the people who are involved from their local community. Maybe it's a particularly interesting story from a family or a person of interest in the community. And then we've also got groups like the Lobbying Advocacy, which looks at promoting XR policies to the local council. So things like declaring a climate emergency or calling for the UK government to enact a citizens' assembly. These different working groups will meet each week as part of the local group meeting, and each working group will split off from the overall local group meeting to discuss in a small group what they're going to be doing on these different topics. And each of those working groups should have 2 coordinators, and then these coordinators can help to manage the working groups themselves. So looking at who is involved and making sure they have a base camp area. But also these coordinators should be meeting up separately each week with the coordinators from the other working groups to discuss how the local group is developing. So this would be a separate meeting with at least one coordinator from each of the working groups to talk about how the different working groups can work together. So, for example, if there's an upcoming action and Arts have made a fantastic flyer for it, then they're going to want to get that flyer out as much as possible. So they're going to want to communicate with the outreach team to see when they can help to do a stall or an event that can help to get those flyers out. And one of those working groups is the Action and Logistics team. Now, the Action Logistics team looks at organising major actions and designing the plans around them. And obviously, these actions are going to need affinity groups to take part in them. So affinity groups are small direct action support groups which are coordinated and set up after non-violent direct action trainings. So here are some different examples of affinity groups in Bristol. And the way these affinity groups help to coordinate is they have a spokesperson in each group that then goes along to an affinity group council and helps to make decisions about what those affinity groups want to do and give any feedback on action proposals from the Action Logistics team. Now, affinity groups in themselves are separate from the local group, though not necessarily mutually exclusive. So people who are in affinity groups can also be part of working groups, but affinity groups meet separately and they are purely to discuss issues around direct action or building a regenerative culture within their own affinity group. So for example, hosting a listening circle where people can share their thoughts and their concerns. So the Affinity Group Council will meet regularly with proposals from Action Logistics and with regular spokespeople from each affinity group to decide on what actions take place and how they'll work and which affinity groups will take part. So that's a little overview of the local group and affinity group structure. And if you have any questions, please do get in contact with the regional development team. Thank you.